In the fictional world of The Last of Us, warming temperatures due to climate change caused the fungus to mutate and infect people. There was no way to stop it. In the real world, climate change may not spur parasitic fungi to conquer humanity anytime soon, but a warming climate may spur them to crop up in more places around the world.
During hurricanes, the flooding damage can cause increased growth of fungi and molds that can then cause infections and disease, including asthma.
Scientists are already seeing an uptick in fungal diseases. Even more disturbing is many are appearing for the first time.
In the American Southwest, there's a fungus called coccidioides that's found in the dirt, and when it's disturbed, it can aerosolize in the dirt and get breathed in by people.
Coccidioides causes a disease known as valley fever. It was first noticed among farm workers in California's Central Valley, a huge agricultural region. Workers who inhale spores from the soil develop respiratory symptoms like a cough or chest pain. Most recover. But in some cases, valley fever becomes a chronic infection that leaves abscesses in the lungs and can eventually lead to death.
As the climate's warming and droughts become more frequent, there's increased risk of coccidioides entering the air through dust or through just disturbance of the dirt.
A disease modeling study predicts that by the year 2100, the range for valley fever fungus will expand as far as Kansas and North Dakota. But it is novel fungal infections that are the most concerning. Parasitic infections in people are rare because most fungi, like Ophiocordyceps, live in cooler temperatures. But as the climate has warmed, most fungi have adapted to higher temperatures, like inside a warm human body. This is what happens in The Last of Us. If fungi can grow in more bodies, this could spell trouble for the planet.
The world is getting warmer. And the question is, what's going to happen to fungal diseases? Well, that brings us to Candida auris. Candida auris is known to medicine prior to the year 2007.
Candida auris is the first example of a fungal disease emerging out of the climate crisis. The first case occurred in Tokyo. Then in 2011, Candida auris appeared simultaneously in 3 continents: Asia, Africa, and South America.
Some of my collaborators have proposed that what happened was that Candida auris adapted to higher temperatures and thus was able to defeat our temperature defenses. So it emerged as a human pathogenic fungus.
A current wave of Candida auris outbreaks has made news headlines, from only a dozen cases a few years ago to over 2,000 today. When the fungus enters the bloodstream, it causes a blood disease called invasive candidiasis. Like the zombie fungus and the ant, Candida auris consumes the tissue of its host, attacking internal organs, genitals, the mouth, eyes, and skin. The Center for Disease Control estimates up to 70% of patients infected with Candida auris have died. Other factors make Candida auris such a dire global threat. It's difficult to detect using standard laboratory methods. Screening requires sophisticated equipment, which most hospitals can't afford. The fungus is often misidentified, which leads to the wrong kind of treatment. By the time the mistake is corrected, it may be too late. Once it settles in a healthcare facility, an outbreak is almost impossible to contain.
It's pretty durable on surfaces, so it's hard to get off of surfaces once it's established on there.
A hospital in London had to completely shut down in 2016 because its intensive care unit couldn't get rid of the fungus. In October 2022, The World Health Organization put Candida auris on its list of global health threats. Scientists around the world are searching for ways to stop it. They hope what they learn can be applied to tackling another deadly fungus on the list, Cryptococcus neoformans.
A lot of people are exposed to Cryptococcus neoformans on a day-to-day basis, especially those that are living in cities, because it's quite common in pigeon guano. So anybody who's living in a city is probably breathing in some desiccated pigeon guano.
The fungus enters through the respiratory system and can lead to cryptococcal pneumonia. If it spreads to the central nervous system, it can cause life-threatening cryptococcal meningitis.
That's a brain infection with Cryptococcus. It causes increase of intracranial pressure, which then can affect somebody's mood and behavior.
Victims often become erratic, lethargic, supersensitive to light. This is the closest humans get to experiencing the effects of a mind-controlling zombie fungus. So far. Cryptococcus neoformans shares something else with the zombie fungus. It also treats a host body as food.
If it gets within a host cell, it's going to need a lot of nutrients to be able to divide and grow. So it can actually take some nutrients from within the host and use it for its own benefit.
And it can be a stealthy killer. After infecting a person, Cryptococcus spores can hide inside human immune cells, waiting for the right moment.
In some people, the immune system manages to wall off the infection, creates like a little area that is walled off, and there the fungus can survive for many years. Some people then take drugs that make them immunosuppressed. And when they take the drugs that make them immunosuppressed, that little wall can break down. And then the fungus can come out and unleash a severe fungal infection.
When conditions become favorable for unrestricted growth, like when a person's immune system weakens, the spores reactivate, and the disease flares up again.